Hi there, Sandra here from Create in Spain with another video on a couple of pieces of iPad software. Now the first one that I'm going to talk about is one called Concepts. It's a really good app, but it works slightly differently to normal drawing apps, and therefore you might find it a little bit harder to get used to. But it's a great app and I really like it. You can do all sorts of things on here. If I show you this one, for example, I did this on Concepts and it was very, very easy to do. But you can do all sorts of things. So I'm going to go back to the start page and I'm going to just click on a page to open up. Now up here in the settings, you can change the background so you have different colors or transparent. You can have a grid on there if you want to. It gives you your artboard size, the scale, and you've got your units. Now this app is capable of doing a infinite canvas. So if you set it to infinite, you can have it so that it never runs out of space. You probably wouldn't use that too much in our particular application, but it can be handy for other things. Up here you have stylus things as well, so you have pressure response, we have finger actions, double tap actions, and various things like that. And then we have gestures, so you can enable rotation, zooming, and all those sorts of things. And I'm just going to leave that as is. So I can put that in or expand it with just the 2-finger zoom, and that's quite handy. Now you notice up here on the left hand side we got this wheel, and this is what really sets it apart from a lot of other drawing apps and the way that it actually functions. And on this side we've got import options, and if I tap on more, you can buy different packs or you can make your own, various things that you want to import. You can go to the market and import different packs there if you want to, and then it shows you your imports, what you might have imported yourself. And I've got one which is my objects. Now this I had to pay to have the option to put my objects in, but it literally means that I can copy and paste them from here if I want to quite easily. So I've got the export option as well, which gives you all the usual things and different modes of exporting. So you can export as a PNG, as a JPEG. I think PDF is in there. I think there might be an AI option, can't remember. SVG, all sorts of options, and you would export them as you would normally with your iPad to wherever you want to export them. We've got a help button here, so you can get help if needed. And here we have the name of the project and the tool that I'm using, and the fact that I have the Pro version. The Pro version is definitely the one that you want to have. There is a free version of this, I believe, but it doesn't have all the options on it, and you may find it's not that useful. So this wheel here gives me lots of different things. Around the outside I have certain tools selected, and you can choose which tools you select, and there are different pens, different brushes, there's a fill, there's an eraser, there's a knife tool, all sorts of different things. And this one here is the selection tool, and then if I go back here I get my pen tool, the one that I'm using at the moment. This bit here, if I tap on here, I can alter the width of my line. Okay, so that's very simple. Down here is what I like to call the wiggle factor. And this makes it so that either your line is smoothed very much or not very much at all, or anything in between. And then you have the transparency of the stroke, or the opacity of the stroke, which, depending on which way you have it, is either very opaque or not very opaque. Underneath this we have precision tools. Now the precision tools are things like grids, snap options, measuring, and then you have some drawing guides, and I'll go through those in a second. Graph paper is pretty obvious. If I go to grid, got a graph paper there, but that's where you would change it to something else. I'm going to switch that off because I didn't like it. Now, snap options. Now, things will snap to certain things while you're drawing. So you have a snap to grid if you've got a grid there. You've got aligning to grid. You've got an auto-complete. So if you have a gap in a line, it will auto-complete it, as long as it's not too big a gap. And then you have the choice to apply this to your active area only or to all layers. Okay. And snap while editing, snap to grid, key points, and active layer only again. So I'm going to turn that off for the moment. Measuring, and you have your drawing scale there and your units that you can adjust. Switch that off. Now the guides are kind of unusual in that you have this guide turn up. So this is an arc guide, and I can literally draw anywhere I like on here and it will go along that line. If I want to adjust it, I can pull this line out, and it's like a piece of wire. So I can do all sorts of things with that, and if I go there, that's going to do that. Obviously I want to go to that end. So you can mess around with this and you can use it to do all sorts of funny things with curved lines. But it has other ones. So it has a normal line. So this will give you a straight line between somewhere if you want to. We have the arc, we have angles. So if I click on angle, I get this. And then of course I can adjust whatever angle I want to draw. And we have ellipses. So if I do that, I get the ellipse. And then these handles here adjust my ellipse depending on what I want to do with it. And then we have the rectangle tool, which does obviously rectangles. And again, you pull the handle out to do whatever you want to do. Okay, so I am going to go to this particular layer. Oops. And I'm going to put it in the bin because I don't want it, okay? Now I still have a pen layer there. I'm going to switch my guide off because I don't want the guides. Now the interesting thing with concepts is that every individual line is infinitely editable even after you've completed your drawing. As long as it is saved here, it is editable. So what does that mean? It means I can do a line like this, do a line like that, lots of weird and wonderful stuff. But if I click on my selection, I've got these tools. I can use a lasso. I can choose to select partial lines or not. I can lock certain lines. I can go through all my layers, or I can just have the active layer. And I can go to item picker. So if I tap on this line here, it's going to select that line and that line only, and I can do whatever I want to do with it. I can not only move it around, I can change the color of it. I can change the width of the line, up and down. I can change the transparency. I click on this one. And I can do anything with that I want to do with it. And I can even change it to a different tool. So that might be a watercolor brush or something like that. And I've changed the color and I've changed the type of tool it is. It's simply following the path that it already had. And that is really amazing to be able to do that. Not only now, but at some point later in the drawing. As long as I can actually find my line, I can alter it. Very, very few drawing apps will allow you to do that. It's a very, very good feature. I can rename these layers. I can tap on the eyeball to show it or to hide it, and I can lock every layer if I want to. So very good for being very malleable during and after the drawing. When it comes to pen strokes, if I tap on this one, I'll get my different types of pens. I've got a fountain pen, dynamic, fixed width, the wire, soft pencil, hard pencil, marker, watercolor, airbrush, and a fill, and a dotted line. But with this app, As with Procreate, you can create your own brushes. Now, I'm not going to go into that at the moment, but you can design your own brushes to do exactly what you want them to do, and they're infinitely variable. You spend hours playing around with different brushes, and it's great fun. If I go to the snap options here and I go to auto complete, so I want that one on, come in here, just tap off that. So if I'm drawing something like this, I can tap on there and it will close it up for me. If I'm close enough, it'll actually complete it automatically. But if I'm too far away, it says, do you want to join that with that? And it will do it. Quite useful if you need to have closed paths. That is the SVG that you get. But if you want to make something with a very definite cut line, say you're trying to draw around the outside of something, it's a good idea to have that snap option on to make sure that your line is complete, there's no gaps in it. But that's a function of just drawing with an SVG. If you were to export that as a PNG, put it into your normal software, be it Canvas Workspace, Shortcuts a lot, you can do a trace on it however you like. And because it's an SVG format, you can see I can go really, really big and it doesn't get pixelated. That is the basics of concepts. A great app, it just works slightly differently to other drawing apps. The last app I'm going to show you for the time being is Procreate. Procreate costs $9.99 and it's worth every cent. Now you can use Procreate to do arty crafty type things. My background, in fact, I drew with Procreate. Or you can use it to do very simple things with simple lines like clip art and that type of thing. You can add your own custom made sizes. That's easy enough to do. Over here we have the gallery. We have a toolbox which gives you different actions, from adding things and sharing layers and sharing images through to the canvas. There are drawing guides that you can use which help you to draw certain things. And there's animation assist if you want to do nice little moving drawings and get canvas information and that sort of stuff. You have the share tab, which is the same as per usual. You can do video. You can change your preferences to whatever you happen to want, and there is a help button. So if I go to add, I could add a photograph or a file, or I could add text. And if you add text, it will simply be able to use whatever fonts you want it to use. That's not a problem. So if I just go to the next one here, we've got adjustments. Now adjustments tend to be done by drawing backwards and forwards or left and right with the pencil according to what you're actually using. So you've got opacity and blurring and sharpening and noise, and liquefying's fun. And you've got cloning, you've got hue, saturation, brightness, all that sort of stuff. You have a masking tool. So you have an automatic one, you have freehand, rectangles and all sorts of stuff, and you can clear it, feather it, whatever. And your selection tool, which obviously there's nothing there. Now over this side you have your pen tools, which there is a vast array of tools already in the brush library. You can make your own brushes up as you can with concepts. You have a smudging tool, we have an eraser, and this will take on the qualities that you want it to take on. And we have the layers panel, so you can add layers and you can delete layers, you can lock layers, copy layers, and so on and so forth. And then over here we have some more buttons. Now these can be seen in the preferences because you can choose to tap and hold or use a finger on this one and so on to get different results. Here you have the size of your brush stroke. That's one that I did yesterday. And here you have the opacity, so you can have it full opacity or partly transparent. It's entirely up to you. So this is actually a brush that I designed. And if I take this down, then I'll get smaller ones. You have infinite variety in the brushes. and you can make them do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. One of the things that you can do is have multicolour ones. Now this is such good fun. If I swipe to the left and I go to duplicate here, I can work on my duplicate brush without affecting the original, right? So I'm going to tap on, whoops, I'm going to tap on that. And if I go to colour dynamics, I have a drawing pad and I can select any colour to make a difference what it is. And you can see that's what I'm getting at the moment. But if I go to the pressure tab, for example, and alter some things in here, and I can do that. I'm just randomly altering these. It doesn't make too much difference because I'm just having fun. And there we go. Now, when I do this, I get all sorts of different things happening. And if I do that, I will get different things happening. More pressure or less pressure. More pressure, less pressure. It'll change the colours. So it's really good fun to have. And you can do that with any of the brushes that are in your stock. And you can do it with any brush which you make yourself. And then you can save it. And you can do about this brush. You can even put your own signature in it and say, hey, this is mine. You have different options. You have colour wheels and you have palettes and things. All sorts of stuff. Make them bigger. Just tap. And according to what the pressure is, I get a different colour. Light tap with different pressure. So great fun. You can have lots and lots of playtime with this. When you have finished, you can export it as PNG or JPEG or a number of other options, I think. It's great for backgrounds. You know, if you wanted to make a background paper or something like that, you can make paper in this so fast. Now, I know you might be thinking that, hey, I'm not artistic, I can't draw. Well, you don't actually have to, because you can import clip art if that's what you want to do, or a simple line drawing, and you can then effectively mask things off and apply these effects to areas so that you still have your outline but you have the colouring in that you might want. So you could, for example, have zombie skin on an elephant or something. So it has lots of different uses. It's very powerful, and for $9.99 I'm amazed that they can actually do this. And it's got a lot of support. There's good forums for Procreate, so you can get extra help if you need it. It's just really, really good. So that's a couple of extra programs that I wanted to show you that I use. If you're interested, I will do some more videos on how to actually use them. This is just like a this is what it is type video to see if you actually want to bother buying them in the first place. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon. Take care now.